So let's see. We are down to our international partners. Is Fabian here? I guess not. So Rob, if you don't mind, I think maybe we'll jump ahead to the update from the Exploratorium. And as all of you know, the Exploratorium has been an important partner in the K-20 effort for many years, and Rob Semper's been at a number of our meetings, and a number of staff that work for him, and the Exploratorium has always been sort of a leader in this space. And so we have an opportunity to welcome someone new from the Exploratorium. Rob is the Director of Web Development at the Exploratorium. We're really glad you came to join us.
Thanks, Lewis. Thanks for having me here today. I'm really interested to find out what's going on in the K-20 community and find out more about Internet too. I've been a web developer at the Exploratorium for about 3 years, and I manage a team of content developers that work on online exhibits, teacher education resources, things that support our professional development initiatives for teachers, and a growing number of outreach efforts, including in the after-school area, which I'll talk about a little bit today. So my talk is really to introduce you to some of the current projects that we have going on at the Exploratorium that perhaps could enable some collaborations within this community, and I'm certainly open to finding out more about your ideas and any ways you think you might be able to connect to what we're doing. So, as you know, the Exploratorium is a museum in San Francisco. We focus on experiential and informal learning. Our website was one of the first websites online for a museum, and we're very proud of it. It's recognized quite a bit for the depth of content that we have and the wide range of resources for educators. We've been involved in Internet 2 for a couple of years with partnership with Scenic, and we have some challenges in finding out how we can take best advantage of connecting to this community. But we're very interested in it and seek collaboration partners. Next slide. Most of the things that we do in my area at the Exploratorium are development of online exhibits, exhibitions, interactives, and a growing number of digital library collections. We're also very dedicated to producing live webcast programming that we'd like to make available to other museum and education partners, and have been focusing on our practice of working to make versions of those webcasts that best take advantage of the communications possibilities of Internet 2, and also thinking about interactive uses. And we have an expanding practice of collaboration with researchers in our work in the public understanding of science and in the outreach areas that we do. So more and more of the projects that I tend to be involved in collaborate with people at universities, other science centers, and in many cases as well, artists. I won't read that. That's basically what I just said. Okay, thanks. As I mentioned, we have a number of digital library collections. Many of these have images, teaching activities, and our complete webcast archive. A couple years ago, we launched an Internet 2 gateway, which was really a window onto our collection that focused on more broadband resources. And we put more effort into this recently and are trying to grow it further. We have a couple of really interesting projects right now that I just wanted to tell people about and see if you had any thoughts on connections that we might make. Our current project is an NSF funded project about the nature of scientific evidence, and it's called Evidence: How Do We Know What We Know? And it explores the scientific process and features case studies. One in particular has been very interesting, a collaboration with the Max Planck Institute, researchers in human origin. So lots of nifty 3D skulls and people talking about chimps. But actually, it challenges you back, this site. We're planning on launching it in November, and it's going to have a large collection of video. We have a growing practice of publishing our resources in multiple languages. So this one will be published in English and Spanish, and also feature captioning on our video resources. So that's new and presented some challenges for us as we develop them. We have a particular digital library collection called the Learning Resources Collection. It has about 500 assets, and it's growing pretty rapidly. This is sponsored through the NSDL, National Science Digital Library Project. And we work in that community, which reminds me in some ways of the kind of collaborations that happen here. Lots of working groups on infrastructure, interoperability, as well as getting content out to different parts of the network. Within that project, we have a new after-school initiative, which is a specific collection of videos geared toward after-school educators that show, at first there'll be about 8 activities, and they include how to teach the activity, as well as pedagogical resources that support those learning structures. So that'll be new. Snacks, well, they're tasty. No. Snacks are an Exploratorium. It's an activity that's short and sweet and easy to put together. So we call those snacks. We have a number of snack books that are publications that we have available. Particularly useful for the middle school area. And, so they're some of our most popular content. So they're available in that collection. A very new project that we were just awarded from the NSF is an international polar year project called Ice Stories. So if you don't know, the International Polar Year is a 2-year research cycle phase with scientists working in the Arctic and in Antarctica, it's hard to say, Antarctica. And what we're doing is we're training these field scientists in both regions to be journalists, develop media, and to help in their outreach efforts and the dissemination of their work within this school community. A challenge for us is to create a very interactive newspaper-like website that's updated daily and offers a lot of the media generated by scientists, images, story fragments and segments, as well as video for remix by students in different youth outreach communities that we're targeting. And some of those communities are in Alaska, some of them are in the Bay Area, and probably will grow. So if you have any ideas about additional outreach communities that we might try to connect to with this work, I would be very interested to talk to you. And excellent. We'll also feature a large collection of webcasts and other public programs that originate at the Exploratorium. So it's going to be a very lively couple of years. We'll have an exhibit in our webcast studio in our museum where people can drop in as the general public, and we'll be originating the live webcasts, talking to people live at places like McMurdo Station and Barrow, Alaska. Another project we have coming up next August is another live total solar eclipse. And this is an ongoing program we have. It's sponsored by NASA, CSAF, and our partners at UC Berkeley. And we transmit live images of total solar eclipses from all over the world. The last one was in March of 2006, and it was our largest online audience audience ever. The program was picked up by NASA TV and MSNBC, and we had amazing amounts of traffic and replay for months afterwards. It was pretty spectacular, live from Turkey. So we'll be transmitting live from the Great Wall in a remote part of China, and we do make the feed available to museum partners and other educators on my 2 enhanced version. It can also be downlinked from satellite. And my last note is a pet project of mine where we've been pushing live programming into the virtual world of Second Life. So we did that with the last Eclipse, and we'll be doing that again next year. Okay. Anyway, so I'm a content developer. I'm interested in connecting more to the education community and supporting things like digital libraries. So I'm here to learn, and thanks again for having me.
Anybody have any questions for Rob?
Sure.
I know that here in California, it's a lot easier for us to pick the program up and talk to you guys and say, let's do something. For the folks in the States, how could they connect with you? And is there a formal process or informal process? What should they do?
Well, we're definitely more about informal process, and we're very open to talking to people. So I would say the best thing to do is to stay in touch with me. You can also contact educators and other content developers directly at the museum, which they'd probably connect you to me. We can meet you through video conference. We can meet you in a virtual world. We can meet you if you come visit the Bay Area in San Francisco. So we can certainly stay in touch and develop relationships further.
Other questions, Rob?
Is one of your partners in McDonald's or in Texas?
Not that I know of.
Maybe you make it.
That sounds interesting.
Question was another partner McDonald Observatory. Any other questions for Rob? Yes, please.
Hi Rob, part of my job is to liaise with content providers in the UK, so I've had a lot of groups like yourself, and some of your ideas are excellent. I wonder if you could tell me the URL I need to go to find out a bit more detail about it.
Thanks, that would have been good for me to mention. It's exploratorium.edu.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about how you're pushing your content on the Second Life. Where are you going with it?
So the how is basically that we started doing the live clips program in January 2006, preparing for that, and how do I say it? There's scaling issues of developing large audiences in Second Life, so our strategy was to create multiple environments and to replicate our programming across them so that we could ensure a large audience and have enough people connect to our program. We do our own webcasting, so we're transmitting our video via a URL, and the way that Second Life works with video is that it's not streamed from the lab, the network of the grid that's transmitting positional and other types of information about the virtual world. It's coming directly. So each client makes a direct connection to our video server. And so we've had success doing that. Of course, the kind of video that it was, which is QuickTime, is not our primary format for streaming, so I had to make some special arrangements to manage that. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Do you have an Exploratorium presence on Second Life then already?
Yes, we do. So initially we rented space and had some donated space, and we've had a steady progression. We now have 2 islands and another outpost in an area City. So if you just search for Exploratorium, you can find our primary island. There's not a whole lot there now. We'll have an unveiling in November, although you can go there and watch replays of our video, most recent webcasts on demand in our amphitheater there, and you can go next door to an island called Splodland, which is kind of whimsical and has a lot of exhibits, interactive exhibits, and hands-on exhibits.
I'll move over here. Just one very quick one. My experiences in fact, the second line have been rather quiet. I haven't found anyone there to interact with. Maybe it's the time difference. The only person I had was a squirrel who was well rude. So, I wonder what kind of audience figures you've got.
Of course, this is a subject I'm very happy to talk about. Actually, I just wrote an article for the Association of Science and Technology Centers November issue of Dimensions magazine about bringing science centers into Second Line. So you can check that out. And we're also working in the museum community at large to introduce them more to practices of using virtual worlds. So, talking about things that you can do in Second Line. It's a vast space. It's very possible for it to be a ghost town. I always say that virtual reality, for one, is a little bit boring, but when you bring people there, it becomes something kind of unique and different. It's really about the social experience. So I find that the best way to find out what's going on is to be a visitor of some of the blogs. We have a web page where we're trying to let people know when we're doing a live event. But it needs more people. I think the 9 billion resident figure that Linden Labs advertises is a little, bloated and not actual in terms of the residents that tend to be there. But it's coming. I think we're interested in seeing how the education community can use it. And one of the things that we've done is we've situated our island adjacent to a group of other islands in an area called Skylands. And so it's effectively a very large campus that you can either walk from island to island or fly, if you'd rather do that. So we've got the International Space Flight Museum as neighbors. The UK National Physics Laboratory has 2 islands adjacent. NOAA has an island. And there are quite a number of museum and library studies people there too. So that's one way that we're trying to foster it not being a ghost town, is by situating ourselves next to like-minded folks.
Rob, this is something we talked about on the phone, and just the idea of, and I don't think you've seen this yet, but we were able to take an RSS feed that Rob provided us, and we put it into the new K20 website called The Muse, which we'll talk about a little bit later. This was a small effort to try to highlight some of the projects that are going on and the different webcasts that are happening. Both past and future scheduled webcasts will appear just dynamically every time someone visits this project page on the K20 site. So if you click on any one of the project feed links, it will take you directly to the Exploratorium site. This will just happen, automatically as things are added to the feed. So just another example of how we can all help promote things that are going on at the Exploratorium.
That's great.
I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit, you mentioned there perhaps were some challenges in terms of the captioning on the videos, the new and current projects, and I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, we haven't really tried to do it before, and we have, we're kind of a little bit all over the map in terms of the types of video technologies that we experiment with, and the ones that we've adopted as our regular practice. So we're using Flash in particular, and a lot of our exhibit-based work online. And because we had so much work to do, we've actually done some outsourcing to give us the captioning. And because it even, so basically, if you're watching in English, you can turn on captioning. If you're watching in Spanish, you can turn on captioning, and vice versa. So it's new. Basically, we're using captioning tracks that are integrated directly into our Flash video.
Thanks, Ron. You know, it also occurs to me, one group we should want, we maybe we'll try and bring in the spring meeting folks in Internet who are working on advanced video, because there's some opportunities there for all of us to see some of what's being done with other video formats that are pretty interesting and increasingly more accessible across our communities. So we'll see if we can organize that. I encourage you all, if you're in San Francisco, to go to the Exploratorium. It's a wonderful place. I took a group of people from zoos from across the U.S. who were really starting to think about how they could use advanced networks in their efforts to do conservation education. We visited two, in the Bay Area, we visited two places. One was the Exploratorium, and then we went to Monterey Bay Aquarium. It was fascinating because they're sort of at different ends of this. I mean, they're both incredibly high quality places. But the Exploratorium, you go in and there's this sort of sense of play that permeates the place, because everything is hands-on. But we go and meet with the staff there, and they have that same sort of sense of fun about what they're doing. And when we were there, it was they were doing their Iron Teacher program, which at that time there was no Iron Chef America. It was just a Japanese one that was available here. And so it was on the floor. It was on the display floor. There were a bunch of teachers in there, and I can't remember, they gave them Jello and paperclip and said design a science experiment with it. And they were also doing this as a webcast, and it was wonderful fun. And the teachers, of course, did brilliant things with their Jello and paperclips, and there was a whole crowd gathered around this, and it's probably one of those things that's archived somewhere on the Exploratorium website. The other extreme was going to Monterey Bay Aquarium, where they have probably some of the most exquisite displays that I've seen in any scientific or cultural institution anywhere, and the level of care and concern and thought that goes into the displays there was absolutely fascinating. But I have to say, on the fun end of the spectrum, that the folks at the Exploratorium were really great set of people to work with. So I'm glad that Rob has joined us. So, and I think it's helpful. We'll hear more about news later on. I mean, we're really, one of the things that we have talked about, one of the perennial issues in this group is how do we communicate these opportunities to the large, those of us who are representing states and thousands of institutions and potentially tens of thousands of educators. I mean, how do you get the word out? And I think we've tried various kinds of earlier, more rudimentary social networking tools, but I think we may have landed on one that may just work better. broader spectrum both of audience and of activities that we're hoping to tap into. So anyway,